Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and I thought what better way to end the current season of builds than with a really good generous measure of trains. Yep, so I'm going to build another cargo wagon for my impossibly long cargo train. Good. Well, this build will incorporate these two rather sciencey looking types as the sort of passengers or custodians of the cargo in question. So that's why they're here. Basically, this guy's just here to show off the new reward Robin Hood tile that I got in my recent haul, and the right way up now utility belt, which makes him a bit taller. So maybe he's Little John now. Maybe I should give him a staff so he's appropriately armed for stopping people crossing rivers. That's how the story went, I think. Anyway, I digress. Today's build was prompted by a subscriber suggestion to do, for my train, a pickle wagon. Well, first of all, what on earth is a pickle wagon? Well, here are a few pictures from non-Lego train sets, where there's basically 4 huge drums of pickles on the back of a train. Wow, surely there's enough in one of those for a whole nation's annual pickle needs. I mean, there must be millions in just one of those things. Imagine there was a crash. Imagine the smell. Anyway, it reminded me of something actually in the Lego catalogue, which was set 2126 Train Cars from 1997, which apparently was a limited release set. Some of the packaging saying not available in any stores, so I guess it was a direct buy from Lego themselves. But that has 4 interesting wagons in it. Not that I want them all, because one is a car transport, which I kind of got on my train. One's got little tipper wagon type things, which I've also got on my train. One's got trees in it, and I've got kind of a lumber one from a later more modern train, so got that as well. But the 4th is a barrel wagon. Yeah, we don't have one of those on the train, so that is what I'm going to build today. So a combination of the inspiration of set 2126 and also the subscriber idea, which earns you a bedoing, of a pickle wagon combined. Now, I could just buy that 2126 wagon on its own, but quite frankly, it doesn't come up on its own, and it would be £200 or more to buy the whole set secondhand. The other route, obviously, is to go via Bricklink and to buy all the individual parts for just that sort of element of that set. But those big old barrels are quite hard to get, and definitely in quantity. A few people have got 1. I'd have to do 3 orders just to get 3. Then there's the old grey sort of screens and the pipe pieces, which are hard to get. Well, usually hard, but on the last haul, I got some yellow equivalents, which will be really useful from Russ. So already using your parts, Russ. But not to mention the most important piece, which is the stickered on both sides 1x12 brick in blue with the kind of valve patterns on, which goes across the 3 barrels and kind of links them all together over the top, and also seems to be used for offloading as well. They seem to put it on the ground in the pictures of that set and, pump off the contents of the barrels through it somehow. Anyway, that part is ridiculously hard to get. There's £5 for a worn one, which doesn't sound very much up to my usual standard. £8 for a 7 out of 10 condition. A bit better condition, but a bit worse on the price for 1 brick. Up to an incredibly overpriced £17 for a very good condition one. Yeah, I'm not paying that. So essentially, I'm going to do my own kind of modern version of that 2126 barrel wagon today. So let's get started. Right, well, for those of you who watch my hauls, you'll see a lot of recent pieces coming up. Here's one of those 6x16 plates in black. And I always start by doing the underside. For this, we just need a set of wheels, a 2x2 plate, 2x4 plate, just to go in here like that. I can put that on the end. I've got more 2x2 plates, just filling in some of the gaps. Like that. And then to make it nice and sort of smooth from all angles, I'm going to add one of these inverted slopes in black as well to go in that gap, and then it looks nice and smooth. Cool. So there is the other one in, get it in the right place. Doesn't seem to want to go for some reason. Why is that not going? Oh, yeah, it is. and another one of those in there. Lovely. And then for the bit in the middle, which wasn't present in the original set, I'm going to have the usual sort of studs on the side type technique. I'm using a bright orange just because I've got them and they'll be hidden in a minute, and it's a good place to use bricks that aren't very useful elsewhere. So that goes in there and holds it all together and gives it a bit of strength. And then just for the gubbins that's always on the side, I've just done a random combination of light bluish grey ones this time. These 1x2 plates with the curved edges looking quite interesting, I think. Just on some 2x3 bricks. Should be a 2x6, but I don't have any. So yeah, so I'll do that on both sides. Looking good. Nice, interesting base. Now the barrels for this particular barrel wagon are not those very hard to get old ones that are very big, but these sort of tub type ones in reddish brown rather than old brown. So to get them to be complete barrels, I'm going to need to basically use two and use them end to end like that. So I'm going to need sort of a cunning way of joining them together, but fortunately they've got axle holes in, so I can use that. So the way I'm going to do that is just add a very small axle through there to help me join one of these connectors into those bottom four studs like that. Ooh. Then I can hold that one in place when I put one of these in, and this is one with a stud on the end. Doesn't really matter what colour it is, and basically I'm going to aim to get that in there by twisting it until it fits. There we go, and there is my bigger barrel. Much easier to get hold of and much cheaper as well. Then I'm going to mount each of these onto a Technic 2x4 plate, just because we've got that tiny bit of axle sticking out the bottom. And then onto the top, I'm going to add a 3 wide dish piece, just so it looks quite ornate. So there we go. So 1 barrel, 2 barrel, 3 barrel. There is our cargo. Fantastic. But before we can mount those, we need to have some sort of mounting posts and bits and bobs and gubbins and so on. So I'm going to add my usual 2 yellow ends because I like them being nice and bright to show up. Then I'm going to have an absolute raft of other pieces. So we've got 1x2 slopes to hold up each barrel, just to give it a bit of height, which is always good. And then we've got, much like on the original set, and this is where I did really echo what was going on in that set, because I kind of like seeing tributes to old sets. Yeah, you could make something completely new when you do a MOC, but I like those old sets. So seeing this going around the city makes it a bit more nostalgic for me, even though it's, well, completely different really. There's very few parts in common. But we will have a screen on each of the end barrels, kind of a mirror image. So that can go in there and there. They are the same. And that, if you're interested, is a sticker from the 70910 Scarecrow Special Delivery set from 2017. Just one that I had 2 of in the right colour. I think I must have just picked them up for a few pennies in some store. And then I've just got the usual sort of train ladders to go on the other 2 corners. So basically we've got a bit of interest and texture all round. And then we can apply our 3 barrels. Oh yes, already looking good. There we go. Get that on there. Onto the 3 pedestals. And there is our main build. But we need something to replace that 1x12 brick across the top. It was a bit clunky as well, if you ask me, having a 1 in 12. And the distance is actually 11. So it's sort of overhung. Or you could put it on the half stud, I suppose, and have it overhanging by half a stud on each side. But I thought I could do something better. And something a bit brighter as well, quite frankly. So what I've come up with is this setup, which is just using those sort of macaroni pieces and Technic connectors of all different shapes. We've got a sort of a downward one here and some spaces for the pipes to connect on here, and obviously the curved ones to get to the end. So I think that's going to look a lot better and go on like that. But we've got a few problems. First of all, these have got a round opening, and that has got a Technic sort of X. So what I'm going to do is just space these a little bit with a 1x1 round stud, like that. And for the middle one, instead, I'm going to use one of these ones with the little bar on the top. So therefore it's doing exactly the same spacing job, but converts it to a stud connection. So that's good. And then in these two holes, I'm going to add one of the brand new red coloured ones of these half Technic pins. It wouldn't really matter if they were the sort of blue or grey ones because it'll only show a little bit in there. But the fact that they've started making them in red and had a couple left over from my most recent sets means that, well, it keeps all the colour scheme the same. So that, I think, is a much better sort of set of pipes that connect all three of the lovely barrels together. Oh, yes. Yeah, this should be quite easy to reproduce if you're interested. And then for the nozzles coming down from each of these, using the lovely yellow pipes, which are perfect. This is why I was so excited when I saw these. I was like, oh, I need some of those. And they're quite hard to get. And these ones, being yellow, perfectly colour coordinated. So, yeah, to get this down to the base, I'm going to put one end of each of these under there. And then the other end on a kind of loud hailer piece. But we can use that as, I don't know what you'd call it, a nozzle, I suppose, for pumping off the wagon when you're in, well, location, I suppose. So that can go on there. And this one can be another mirror image and be going like that. And this adds a really nice splash of colour into the middle with the yellow and the red. But also a really nice, interesting piece of sort of shape, if you ask me. This curve, I mean, that just looks great, doesn't it? So that just takes it to the next level. So really happy with that. Thanks again, Russ. I think I'll give you another bedoing just especially for those pipes. I love it. So this is where we come to actually adding our crew, I suppose, isn't it? And I was thinking, well, are these full of pickles? I don't know. I don't know if Lego minifigures eat this quantity of Lego pickles. So I thought it might be something else. But what else is transported in barrels other than refreshing adult beverages? So I thought it could be full of wine? No, beer. Yes, lovely, lovely beer. Spelt with 5 E's. Beer, lovely. So that's what I thought I'd put on here. And the lady, who's very sensible in her protective eyewear and so on, is going to be standing on one side, doing her job, ready for the offload. But on the other side, we've got this gentleman who is up to no good, quite frankly. And that's why he's got this lovely sort of almost guilty smile on his face, because he has used the nozzle prematurely to pour himself a pint of delicious chestnut-coloured beer. So I thought I would give him a beer, like he's been at it on the move. And I was thinking, would a white head work? Or maybe with these darker beers, if I can get that off, it might actually be better with a tan tile. You tell me, because sometimes the froth on the top isn't exactly white. So he can hold that. Oh, my Lord. There we go. And I can put him on this side. Now, because doesn't he look guilty? That is absolutely fabulous. Now, because all of my bridges and tunnels and stuff are 8 wide, I don't think I can have him kind of holding it like this, because essentially it will get knocked off in a second. So I do want to position him somehow so he'll still fit. Maybe he has to sort of squeeze between 2 of these, in which case I need him to be looking cheekily sideways, like he's knowingly very guilty. Oh, that's a good scene, isn't it? Knowingly very guilty. Yep, I've poured myself a beer. What of it? In his very nice, clean brewing outfit and boots, which incidentally is from the Hugo Strange minifigure from the Lego Batman movie Series 2. If you're interested, the hat isn't. So how about that for a scene? A man enjoying a delicious pint of chestnut-coloured ale from a beer wagon transporter, and a very sensible woman who isn't doing the same on the other side. I love that. So tell me what you think of that. Tell me what you think of the whole barrel setup. It's kind of a good reboot of that old set, which did look a bit clunky, I must say. So yeah, I really like that. I think it'll be a great addition to my cargo train. But not to do things by halves, I'm actually going to do a second wagon. This is just a stock one, and it's this lovely turquoise one, which is the only thing I was really interested in from the latest train, 60336 freight train from 2022. And I've kind of been waiting for the price to get to something reasonable because I wasn't really interested in the locomotive or the kind of brown or dark orange or whatever it is container wagon. I definitely wasn't interested in the double car wagon because although it's very cool, it's far too tall for everything in my city. It would last 2 seconds. So all I wanted was this. And they're ridiculously overpriced on eBay, which is usually where I buy a part of a set. And this is the first time I found one for a reasonable price. I mean, people are asking £30 for just this. I mean, you could get all the parts from Bricks and Pieces for half that. But sadly, people like me with an addiction need to have just this small sticker on both sides with the train logo, 70 tons, L16S. That's vitally important to people like me. So yeah, I had to spend some of that extra money, but not £30, thankfully. And it's quite cool with the sides being able to pull down, similar to other ones I've got, but I just love the colour and the shape of it. So in that set, it had all sorts of rubbish on the inside, solar powered nonsense going on. So basically, I don't want to transport that. I'm going to transport something else. And I want you to tell me what. So suggestions in the comments section for what I should fill this with. One thing I thought was leftover undersea pieces because I've probably got far too many for my cabinet from buying all those orders. So that's what I'll add on a future video to this. I am slightly concerned that it's too wide for my setup because if that's 6 wide there and then, well, this thing, I'm just trying to see what sort of 8 wide looks like using these bases I've just pulled off these minifigures. Let's see if I sort of stagger that. You think, oh yeah, 8 wide is a bit wider than those stud tops, but only just. It's going to be a very, very tight squeeze. Anyway, 2 more wagons for my ridiculously long cargo train. One interestingly coloured one that needs suggestions, and one fantastic, hilarious beer one, which I adore actually, now it's finally built. And yeah, quite creative with the barrels as well. Cool, so let's get all this on my cargo train going around Brick Nottingham. Okay, so in the Lego room, and our beer wagon is attached to our cargo train, which you will notice is actually split across both of my loops of track now. I've put the turquoise one on the other half as well, and that's just to make the ridiculously long cargo train a bit easier to show off, basically. I've taken off all passenger trains for today, and we've got half of the incredibly long train going clockwise around the inside. Oh no, that's anti-clockwise, isn't it? And clockwise around the outside. Yes, get it right. So we'll see both of those going in a minute. And the beer, I suppose, is on its way to be delivered to the pubs of the Krusty Krab. And the one that most reminds me of real life Nottingham, the Crown Inn, built up against the Castle Rock. That's very much based on Ye Old Trip to Jerusalem, which is a real life pub in Nottingham, with the date 1189. AD, yes, unbelievable. I actually probably prefer going to the Bell Inn, which is a mere 1437 AD. Yeah, a relative newbie on the real-life Nottingham stakes. So that's good. Oh, and don't forget our Guinness Toucan poster. That's really good as well. And I suppose there must be some beer for sale in the Tiki Bar as well. Oh, and we've also got the bar on top of the station as well, actually. So yeah, we're drunkards here in Brick Nottingham. Yeah, anyway, less said about that the better. So yeah, great things to demonstrate going round. But before I do that, I've just got one more bit of admin to do. And one is to announce Igil, the seagull on this departures board, eyeing up this croissant held by this man. He's going to try and snatch it in a minute, I think. And Igil is on there after a very generous contribution to the channel. He decided to name a seagull after himself. So it's sort of Igil the seagull, not Igil the eagle, which is what it sounds more like to me. But congratulations to you, bedoying on the way, and another bedoying to the person who suggested, or persons, I think it was actually, adding the wolf costume guy to the sheep wagon. I thought that was brilliant. So I've liberated one of the sheep to make room for him, which will go back to the farm. And he has got a knife and fork and is licking his lips, ready to tuck in. That was the original head that came with that minifigure. So yeah, it's absolutely perfect. So I do like that funny scene as well. I like to add minifigures like my beer drinking man to wagons, even though it's a bit unrealistic, just to make really funny scenes. So here is your Bedoin for that as well. Right, so let's get this demonstration on the road. So we'll have to turn on red, turn on blue, turn on green, and turn on, oh golly, where is it? Is that, oh, yellow. So hopefully that's all four on. And I've switched it, so basically 2 are on this one and 2 are on this one. Usually the underground's on that side, but let's go. So the outside track, which is this one, so we want that to go that way, so let's turn that. This one I'm going to do slowly to start with, because that really wide wagon there, just want to check it's not going to hit, especially on the monorail stanchions. Oh golly, that looks close. Oh, was it actually grazing then? It's hard to tell when something hits with this train because you've got the space hoppers making that racket. I think it was them. I've got my hand hovering over the stop button, so let's see it coming along. Very nice splash of colour, and there's those hoppers. And these trains find it a lot easier when they're actually pulling in the direction of travel, rather than pulling things around 3 sort of sides of a square. And there's our lovely spinning acrobat wagon, and everyone's favourite, the pump wagon. Cool, so I'll let that keep going. Might speed up in a minute. Now, this one should be fine for height, but we've got new wagons that never usually been on this track, because this is usually the passenger line. So my question is, when we start this one going in the opposite direction, whether we'll have any collisions. I mean, the other ones have got, the passenger ones have got pantographs and things like that, so it should be all right for clearance. And it goes underneath the car park there, which we can't really see, or you can just see it in that little gap there. But what I'm most concerned about is this bridge. Oh, oh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Golly, that was close, wasn't it? T-Rex's head, I think, was the closest bit. And this, oh, golly. So it fits. And that bridge will collapse because it's only made together, held together with those connections of rail pieces. So yeah, it's, it's quite fragile. Right, so I think I can speed them both up now that we've got clearance. So let's get this one going a bit faster. You see, that's much easier than when it's all on. Let's see some of it. There we go. Hey, there was the beer wagon. When it's all on one line. Because the power is sort of going in one direction and it's pulling things on the opposite side of things in the absolute opposite direction, and it doesn't like it, quite frankly. There's so much strain. This is just a lot easier. Oh, so, wow. Golly, it keeps going, doesn't it? Even when it's in half. We've actually started today with 15 wagons on each train, not including 2 locomotives, so that's 17 on each train. And then we've got the pump wagon as well, so I think that counts as an extra one, doesn't it? So, what's that? 17, 34. I think that was including the pump wagon. Anyway, 2 more, 35, 36. Yeah, I think we've got 36 wagons or locomotives in total now. So, yeah, what a number. Oh, doesn't that look good? Yeah, so I wanted to leave you today with some serious train fun, and I think we've got that. Should we get the tram going as well? I don't think I can have the underground train going at the moment, just because I haven't reset what channel that runs on. It's going to run on the same channel as our anti-clockwise train. You just do that by putting all the power functions from one side onto the other side, of course. Let's do a nice vertical station bit. And we can see the new Igel the Seagull. Oh yeah. Those hoppers are really noisy, aren't they? Oh yeah, we've got this cement wagon spinning well. Brilliant. Cool. Oh, and here comes the tram. Oh, I could just watch this all day. I think I missed the beer one that time round. Where did I put it? Here it comes again. There it is. Looks good. Oh, we've had a calamity. Wonder why that was. I'll sort it out and then we'll get going again. All fixed. I think it was just a loose connection on the join between one of the halves and the middle section. It's partially because I've been taking this downstairs to the build desk because I've got more tram related builds planned. It's just one of a number of things that I'm going to be doing in the new season, which will start at the beginning of September after my month off. So yeah, expect more on the trains, more on the monorail, more on, well, everything really. In fact, I'm going to do a really big sort of major piece of work over here on this whole section. The reason why we haven't had a lot of progress over there is because of my plans, which I've now largely formulated, and it will involve changing the direction of modulars and, well, quite a big interesting change actually. Then, as usual, I've got loads of ideas for other things and scenes and builds around the city as well. And I do plan to get a bit more cabinet space as well, so I can do my castle scenes that I've been mentioning, maybe my Arctic scene, and a whole new scene that I've never mentioned on the channel. So what could that be? Who knows? Well, I do. You'll have to wait and see. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Ooh, all three of them there coming in the new season. But anyway, back to today. There is our beer wagon with our very happy man. I wonder how many of those he's had. Maybe I should do some empties nearby, but I guess he's using the same glass each time. You'll have to let me know what you think of that. And if you've got any ideas for future wagons, so you can earn yourself a bedoing as well. But yeah, that's looking good. Cool. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks will be a while off, as I've mentioned a few times. I'm going to have the month of September off. Doesn't mean that I'm not doing any LEGO, I'm just not doing videos basically when that's the case. I'm still buying, still doing a lot of designing, as well as recharging my batteries, so to speak. Both literally and metaphorically for the trains and so on. But yeah, it won't be too long before we're back doing all of those projects that I mentioned. I'm really looking forward to it. So, until all of that, see you! Yeah, nice pint of beer.